All right, welcome everybody to the May 12th, 2025 meeting. If you can please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As always, we'll start out with a few announcements. Immediately following the previous town council meeting on April 28th, council members entered into an executive session to discuss legal matters. That executive session ended at 9:39 p.m. The town is creating a McCandless 175 planning committee to plan, fundraise, advertise, and implement community events and programs to commemorate this momentous occasion. Applications will be accepted until June 15th, 2025. More information can be found on the website. The town is seeking applicants to serve as its 2025-2026 junior councilperson. The deadline to apply is Friday, June 6th at 4 p.m. Town Hall will be closed on May 26th in observance of Memorial Day. And a reminder to our residents that the primary election is on Tuesday, May 20th. Any other announcements from anyone else on council? Seeing none, at this time, we will call for any public comment on agenda items only. Please come forward, state your name and address.
Ellen Wright, 9635 Old Coomer Road, Allison Park, PA 15101. There's a lot on this agenda. It's a full agenda. You know, when last time it was like, oh, look, we'll combine it because May's coming along. I didn't realize that meant that we were doing two agendas in one meeting. And there's a lot. And then I look back and in January, motion resolution 24 of 24, this was already planned for, that it would be the second and third Mondays and have the regular two agendas. So since we're combining two agendas, I would think that public comments at the beginning and the end of the meeting should be for 10 minutes.
Unfortunately, we will keep it with 5 for this meeting, just
Okay.
to keep process. Thank you.
But for the future, to be a little more open about that we're doing two agendas as opposed to just one. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to skip around here. I'm going to go to the destruction of the public documents under 13B1. We're referencing a document from 1993 as the reason for being able to destroy documents in 2025. I'm curious if the 1993 document anticipated document destruction. There's no way to take a look and see what 1993 said. And I believe that there has been amended more recently, but with a double agenda, there wasn't time to take a look at that. So I have some concerns about documents being destroyed without being able to see what the policy is. And some of those are financial documents and they're being destroyed before a new finance director gets here. So I would vote to table that or urge a tabling of that. Let's see. I think I'll reserve for the rest of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Are there any other public comment on agenda items? Seeing none, we'll move into reports of committees. Reports of Public Safety Committee. Oh, sorry, missed the approval of minutes. Sorry. The previous council minutes, the April 28th, were previously sent to council. Everyone should have had a chance to review. Can we have a first motion to do so?
Like a motion to approve the minutes.
Mr. Hart, is there a second?
Second.
There's been a second. Is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Motion carries. Now we can get into reports of committees. Reports of Public Safety Committee, staff reports, the chief's report. It is included in your packet. The chief is here. Would you like to go over a few highlights, if you have any, chief?
Quickly, if I may.
Please.
Sir. Good evening, everybody. You have my report in front of you. If you have any questions, a couple of things I would like to touch on and bring to your attention. I feel like we try to speak of Officer Davis and his canine partner every month to keep you folks updated. They are back on patrol, certified and ready to rock and roll out there. Officer Davis even spoke to me today about the potential for some of these community events that are upcoming and such, doing some demos and such. So they're out there patrolling the town, all certified and ready to go. This past month, we jumped into as much training as we could. We had a couple officers attend use of force investigation training. We had 5 officers instructed under the new TASER 10 that our department plans to deploy in the future. As another tool on their belt. North Hills SRT members completed their monthly training. Social worker, we continue, that number continues to increase of successful referrals, either to services with her or to other organizations that can help folks. We also had 2 aggressive driving enforcement details out there. There's a number of citations we wrote. It's that season, so folks should be aware that we're out there enforcing the maximum speed limits on the roadways of the town. The other thing I wanted to highlight this month is that to remind folks that it's that time of year where the doe will be dropping their babies. So please be careful out there on the roadways. We've had a number of crashes last month and they continue this month. There are a number of them that are involving deer. They're moving out there, so just be aware and drive safely.
Along with that, the mothers kick the male out of the herd and they can migrate up to 26 miles and they're confused and lost and don't know where they're going. So there'll be a lot more deer hit as a result of that.
There you go. Ties it up nicely.
Quick question for you.
Shoot.
We had our volunteer appreciation dinner. I wore one of my Citizens Police Academy polos because I had attended that prior to being on council. There was a little bit of talk I heard from some residents and people who were there who had some interest in that. I know last time we tried to do a second one, we didn't have a lot of interest in that. Is that something we think maybe we could do in future years possibly?
Absolutely. Let me get with the command staff and see where we're at as far as our trainers. You recall, President Singer was in my our very first Citizens Police Academy. So hats off to you for graduating. And I appreciate you putting that out there, wearing that. But let me get with the command staff, talk to them, see what it looks like. Maybe we can roll out an ad here in the future and try to gauge the interest in the community. And if it makes sense and I get management's approval, I don't see why we couldn't roll another one out.
Yeah, like I said, it doesn't have to be this year, but I was surprised to hear some people talk about it. So I thought maybe
Good
in
to hear.
future, if we can get in budget and stuff like that for maybe something in the future.
I know we can count on Mr. Casey at least.
All right, thanks, Chief. Any other questions? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is the Fire Marshal's report for May. It was also in your packets. Jeff, if you have any highlights for us? Were you at the golf outing today?
I was not.
Okay.
No, unfortunately not. Good evening, everybody. I'll highlight a few things here, starting with the fire marshal side of things. For the month of April, there were 22 fire code inspections, 27 fire marshal callouts. I made a slight error. Instead of 1, it's actually 2 fire prevention programs, but still totaling 80 kids from the preschool program. We'll jump over to the fire call summaries. There were a total of 151 calls for the month of March, 119 of them being in town, and the commercial fire alarms and motor vehicle accidents still continue to lead our call volumes. So they're always pretty much 1 and 2. I'll jump over to more from the emergency management side of things because there's been a lot going on. With a special thanks to several of DPW workers, including Ron Thomas, Cody Momper, Kurt Fulmer, and Roach Miller. Those 4 individuals spent a lot of time getting our EMA trailer in operation. The timing could have been better. Unfortunately, when these storms rolled in, what are we now, 2 weeks ago, I want to say, yeah. We put into service, thankfully we had it. Thanks to Peebles, they actually came down and hooked the trailer up, and it didn't stop for about 4 or 5 hours, running from one end of the town to the other. So, hats off to all of them to get it done in time. And, unfortunately, we had hopefully it's a one in a, 10-year type storm, but there was a lot of damage in our town, and it definitely was utilized. Fire departments respond to, I lost track after 40 fire calls within about a 4-hour period. So obviously next month's call volume is going to be kind of through the roof, but so everybody worked very hard to do what they needed to do during the storms and kind of the aftermath. So thanks to all of them. That's all I have for this evening. Does anybody have any questions?
No, I just want to say thank you for helping to coordinate all that with
Absolutely.
all of our first responders and public works, et cetera. Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you. Good.
Thanks.
Next up, building permits. That report is in your packet. If you can see, spring's upon us. It was a very lengthy report, lots of permits this month. Any questions? We directed toward Mr. Schwent. Liaison reports, Mr. Wall, the Personnel Board. I think we might have just lost Mr. Wall. Those. See if we can get it back up. That report is in your packet. If you have any questions, they could be directed to Mr. Wall. So we'll continue to move on here. Here, Mr. Wall, I was just saying that the Personnel Board packet, the meeting minutes were in the packet. If there were any questions, they could direct them towards you.
Absolutely.
Seeing none, Volunteer Firefighter Steering Committee was Mr. Hart. However, there was no
There was no
meeting.
meeting since our last meeting.
So this time we will take public comment on public safety, if you have any.
Right now, 65 Old Road, Allison Park, PA 15101. I'm speaking about the resolution for the Personnel Board changes, which is listed under old business B and C. My first comment is, why is it under old business? When the changes were made to Personnel Board in February of 2025, there was no mention that there would be additional changes. So it appears that that would be new business and not old business. The Personnel Boardness, today's ordinance is number 1558, which is amending Article 137 to align with the amended Personnel Board rules and regulations. I'm curious, did the town solicitor or the solicitor for the Personnel Board make these changes? Since the Personnel Board rules and regulations are essentially amending Section 137.05 of the Personnel Board, why are we not seeing a red line copy of the changes to the section? None of the discussion of these changes took place. The discussion took place in executive session at the Personnel Board. The Personnel Board agenda was modified either at the meeting or 3 days after the vote on the changes to the Personnel Board. The vote by the Personnel Board regarding the changes took place on March 25, 2025, even though a vote was not on the agenda. Does stating that there will be a vote on the agenda 3 days after the meeting align with state regulations regarding announcing votes? So I would again urge a tabling of this resolution because of the way it was presented and because it was the Personnel Board, it wasn't on their agenda that they would vote on it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Paul Heckman, 10529 Abbey Lane. I would just like to thank the chief and the families for participating in the DUI checkpoint the other day. And initially, my wife read it and said, oh, they only arrested one person. And I said, that's probably good because that means the potential for somebody to be hit by that one person went off the board. So I hope this also has an effect on the drivers that are stopped through there, because it's kind of like when they see them sitting up here on the side of the road, everybody slows down for the next 5 miles back to the speed limit instead of 25 miles over the speed limit. So hopefully having that kind of activity on a regular basis just gets everybody to think about, maybe it's time to have one less before you hit the road, because they might be out there. But great job. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Continuing on, reports of facilities management, staff report, public works, activities report, that was in your packet as always. Brad, anything to highlight on there for us?
Thanks, everybody. Just a couple things to highlight: our basin repair for the paving program that's coming to an end. We're gonna start paving here 3 to 4 weeks. Sidewalk is just about complete. And just, big shout out to everybody here working here for that storm cleanup, because it took a group effort and I think everything went really well. Other than that, that's all I have.
Any
Brad, I'd
questions?
like to thank you for putting those barrels up at the entrance to Vestal Park. Jason, thank you for the idea. John, thank you for following up, because it was a pretty serious complaint if people were speeding through Michelle's dance to get into Vestal. It could have been a really tragic situation. So thank you for addressing. it.
Sure.
Thank you for the storm cleanup. I think we heard from a lot of residents how well. everything
Yeah.
went. So
Thank you.
the
Thank you for that.
opening of roads and everything, coordination with other things, and you guys and your whole group did a great job. Please carry that forward from us at council to your men.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to liaison reports, Environmental Advisory Committee, Mr. Giorgetti.
Meeting minutes on your packet, and I'll also make a quick mention that we did have a pretty in-depth talk about deer management. The EAC thinks that it's gotten worse. I mean, you can see just from the sheer amount of deer that get hit by cars every month, and that number keeps on rising. They view it as a public health, a public safety concern, and as a pretty serious ecological concern too, since they're wiping out all of our native plants. So I just wanted to highlight that for us.
We're glad the EAC is looking into it more, and we'll look to hear more coming from you guys then.
Sound good?
Any questions?
Thank you.
Ad hoc tech committee, Mr. Wall, there was no meeting. Continue on the ad hoc stormwater management committee meeting. Also, there was no meeting. At this time, are there any public comment on facilities management? Seeing none, we'll move on to the reports of the services committee. Liaison reports, McCandless Township Sanitary Authority, Mr. Casey.
I didn't attend, but Don Hart attended in my absence. So if you have any questions, you can ask Don, or you can read the report that's in your packet.
Questions from council? Okay, McCandless Franklin Park Ambulance Authority, Mr. Casey.
Likewise, the reports in your packet, but I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Okay. Seeing none. Northland Public Library Authority, Mr. Giorgetti.
Those meeting minutes are also in the packet, and also highlight that the Garden Gala seemed to have been a huge success. I was sadly out of town and was not there, but I heard that there was about 50K raised from that event. So it
Nice.
was another smashing success for them,
Great,
as always.
great news. Thank you. Public comment on services.
Paul Heckman, 10529 Abbey Lane. I've been asked by my wife to deliver a open house event notification for the MFPAA this upcoming Sunday, May 18th. Once again, the EMS station will be open for ambulance and station tours. The responders will be there. Patient and crew recognition ceremony will be at 12:30. The open house is from 12 p.m. to 3 p.m. So hopefully everyone can make it down and see what goes, especially inside the vehicles. Because when you look on the wall and you see the original stretcher that was just a wood board, basically, and now you see the motorized, the inside is like being inside an ER at the end of the day. So it's pretty interesting to get a chance to see what goes into those. Hopefully see you all there.
What was the date and time? of
That is Sunday, May 18th,
Thank you.
12 to 3.
12 to 3.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comment on services?
Ellen Wright, 9635 Old Kumar Road, Nelson Park, PA 15101. I just wanted to say that it's bird migration season, and Lights Out Colorado and Birdcast are published the Lights Out alerts. And there's one in Pennsylvania for the next 3 days. And so lights out at residences between 11 PM and 6 AM, and perhaps township buildings too. But thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Any other public comments and services? Seeing none. Administration and finance reports. The finance reports for the month of April 2025. The check listing was previously mailed to you. We need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion. Motion to approve check listing number 4 dated April 1st, 2025 to April 30th, 2025, totaling $1,124,707.53 as submitted to each member of council and posted on the bulletin board and town website.
There has been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
I am going to abstain due to the reasons set forth in the memo addressed to the town manager.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you. Financial summary and check listing. Mr. Schwen, you've included that in the packet. Any highlights you want to point out?
You'll see the newly revamped dashboard in there. It should be a little easier to read and contain more relevant information. Also highlight just a couple things on the revenue side. You'll notice difference in year-to-date revenues of around 350,000. Most of that can be accounted for and higher than performing earned income tax from 25 to 24. Also want to highlight benefit of the workers' compensation pooled trust and the property and liability trust that we're members of. You'll see the dividends have been paid out this year, 101,848 and 31,380 for both the property and liability and workers' comp. So being a member of that trust and having good performance helps those dividends stay strong. And that's a great way to recoup some of our prior year expenses. Expenditure side, we're a third of the way through the year as of this report. As you can see, based on the percent of budget and percent compared to the prior year, everything's on track on the expense side, tracking ahead of budget.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Schwen. Next up is the communications report. That was also included in your packet. If there's any questions, they can be directed to Mr. Schwen. Seeing none, our junior council members report. Yuki, this is our last meeting together, unless you want to spend your summers with us.
I'm actually going to India this summer to conduct some environmental research. So I'm very excited, and I kind of feel like all the experiences and opportunities I've been able to achieve these past 2 years has been a lot accounted to my position as junior council person, because as a young person in this meeting room, I don't obviously I don't see a lot of other young people here, and I think because I am able to attend these meetings, I'm able to hear a lot of the concerns that citizens have about the day-to-day decisions that I often don't think about, like how our roads operate and how the taxes work and all these types of things, and how I've been able to hear citizen opinions about everything from green space requirements to the meeting notes to all these types of things. And I think being able to hear those comments has made me a much more intuitive person to think more about community needs and concerns as I work to make more of an impact on my communities in the future through service work. So it's been a really good experience, and I'm really grateful to have been able to do this. And I'm grateful that I applied 2 years ago because North Allegheny suggested it to me. So I'm also really grateful for the extracurriculars that North Allegheny presents. And I'm really excited that you guys are continuing this program. I hope you advertise it well. I'll go into my report this month. It's only been 2 weeks into May, but we've been able to do a lot of good things at NA. So North Allegheny conducts an event called Tigrathon, which is one of the largest charity events that we hold, and it is for pediatric cancer, and it was held last Saturday from 6 to 10 p.m. and it was like a dance marathon, and this year we sponsored a pediatric cancer patient from North Allegheny, and they were able to raise more than $30,000, I believe. And in years before COVID, they've been able to raise over 100,000. So I know they're working up to that, and it's been so that's a really proud moment for North Allegheny, I believe. And then also right now, AP testing is happening at North Allegheny. AP testing, I'm sure you guys know AP testing, but it's a really big part of North Allegheny, and I'm also really grateful that North Allegheny supports the higher education aspect of education. And then lastly is North Allegheny at the National Science Bowl. So 2 North Allegheny School District teams were able to participate in the National Science Bowl in Washington, D.C., which is a pretty prestigious thing, and only around 1% of the nation gets to attend that National Science Bowl. So once again, I'm very grateful for the opportunities that North Allegheny presents us, and also that's how it also led me here to this position as well. So I just want to say I'm very grateful for this experience I've had for the past 2 years. I've been able to learn so much more about community and understanding citizens and how we can make a change as young people on the communities that we live in. So thank you very much.
We thank you.
Thank you.
We have a little something for you. Thank you for your time, council. And council really appreciates your time. It gives us a perspective, you know, of a younger generation in town. It gives us input from the school. So we really appreciate it very much. We appreciate all the hard work you do for us. Thank you very much.
I will advertise the position.
Great.
My underclassmen.
Thank you. Okay, continuing on, liaison reports, MIDA, Mr. Arlo is not available online, but there was no meeting. North Hills Council of Government, there also was no meeting. There's one coming up next week. So at this time, we will ask for public comment on administration and finance. Seeing none, we'll move on to planning and zoning report. Planning director's report for the month of May 2025 was included in your packet. John, do you have anything to add in?
Reports in the packet. I'll cover each one of these as we get to the action item later in the meeting.
Perfect. Again, Mr. Arlo's not here, but the minutes are in your packet for the planning commission. Zoning hearing board, Ms. Clunin also is not able to attend this evening. Those meeting minutes are in your packet. Any further questions can be directed towards her. At this time, is there any public comment on planning and zoning?
Ellen Wright, 9635 Old Coomer Road, Allison Park, PA 15101. The resolution for the DCED authorization grant. I'm just, and I guess because it's going to be discussed later, perhaps these questions would have been answered if they would have been now, but why does the town need the authorization for the DCED grant? Why was this piece of property selected for the DCED grant? And are there plans? Are we going to show a picture of where the sidewalk is at some point?
Yes.
Okay, so the sidewalk is along Ingomar, and it stretches between, it goes from, is it Astro North to Blazer, it goes from Grubbs,
Coomer to Grubbs.
I'm sorry.
Coomer to Grubbs.
Coomer.
From here at the end by the ambulance authority down to the park.
Okay, so it doesn't go in front of any of the businesses.
It's on
It
this side of
will,
the road.
yes.
Yes, it does. It completes the sidewalk.
Oh, okay, so it goes between Grubbs and.
Right
Coon-
here at the ambulance authority is where it ends. It will continue down the northern side along where Tomato Pie in the Eat Bike Cafe is.
It'll be in front of those buildings.
Correct, and it will terminate somewhere where it meets the park at the
Okay.
intersection with Coomer
And Ingomar.
and Ingomar, correct?
So it goes between Grubbs, so it's not going to go in front of, it's not going to extend past Grubbs.
No, it's not, no, correct, yes.
Okay,
It's just to connect where the sidewalk ends existing So you could walk from Town Hall to North Park.
Okay, all right, got it.
Or from Blazer Drive.
Correct, right now, yes.
Blazer Drive,
Being that you'd walk the sidewalk from
In
there all
front
the way
of-
through
So it completes the whole.
so it takes you to North Park.
Park. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Any other comments? Seeing none, we'll move on to recreations report. The Park and Recs Directors Report for the month of May was included in your packet. Abby, do you have additional things to highlight? Please.
Good evening, everybody. Unfortunately, Treasures in the Trunk had to be canceled on May 3rd due to the storm cleanup. So hopefully we'll get that rescheduled for sometime in the fall. Please tell your family, friends, neighbors, community members about our McCandless 175 committee. Applications are now available online for that. And now I've shifted all of my focus to Community Day. So it'll be me and Community Day till September 13th. We've extended the time back to 1 o'clock start this year until fireworks in the evening at 8:30-ish. So should be a wonderful day.
Let's hope for great weather. Thank you, Abby. Continuing on to liaison reports, FDPC for the Heritage and Cultural Center. Mr. Hart, that meeting won't happen until next week.
It won't happen till next week, but this week there's a speaker for the from the Allegheny Observatory at the Heritage Center. And if you go to that, if you see that speaker, and you can register for that online, and you can also get in on a tour of the Allegheny Observatory later in the month.
Thank you for that information. Activities Advisory Ad Hoc Committee, there was no meeting. At this time, are there any public comments on recreation? Seeing none, we'll move on to the town manager's report was included in your packet.
Reports in the packet, a few highlights. Thank you to Jenny, the social worker, and Eric, Lieutenant Egley, for the active shooter and mental health awareness training that we had on April 30th for the staff. It was well received. We're preparing to welcome our LGA intern, Alyssa, to the town on Monday, May 19th. She's going to work with the Planning and Zoning Department on record keeping, essentially coming up with a better filing system for our old planning and land development files, prepping them for a digitization project in the future. Thanks to Public Works, Brad, you and the guys did a great job on your cleanup efforts after the storm. Brad runs basically a small construction crew while also taking care of maintaining grass and taking care of emergencies such as this. He did a great job. Jeff's going to take the gang tomorrow for fire extinguisher training. I don't think that that's been held for the staff before, but it would be good to have people checked off to know how to use those pretty red things hanging on the wall. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up, we've heard a number of residents through emails, through some comments in our meetings about e-bike concerns in town. And we've started to do some research on what other municipalities who've seen this in their parks and other places can do to try and regulate those a little bit better. So keep an eye out for something about that in upcoming months.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Schwinn. Any questions for Mr. Schwinn? Seeing none, the engineer's report was in your packet. Kelly is here. If you have additional questions, any questions for Kelly? Seeing none, the town attorney's report.
It was also in your packet, and if you have any questions, we can hold an executive session to discuss it. That's the end of my report.
Okay. Moving on to old business. The first item here is the Blazer Drive subdivision. We saw this last meeting, but wanted to make sure ample time was given. So it is here now. We need a motion. This is basically dividing the existing lot for the townhomes.
Motion to approve the Blazer Drive subdivision number 5 amendment 3 mortgage subdivision application submitted by Purdue Surveying located on Hopkins Street as reviewed by the town engineer in the letter dated March 6, 2025 and recommended for approval by the planning commission.
There's been a motion and there's a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the personal board ordinance number 1558. We have seen this before as well. So these were the changes regarding the personnel board. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Casey,
Motion to adopt ordinance 1558 of the Town Council of the Town of McCandless, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, amending Article 137 Personnel Board of the Town Code of Ordinances to align Article 137 with the amended Personnel Board rules and regulations.
there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Giorgetti, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. The next item is also the personnel board. This is the rules and regulations. Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Mr. Casey,
Motion to approve the amended Personnel Board rules and regulations is approved by the Personnel Board at their meeting on March 25th, 2025.
there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr.
Second.
Wall. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, considering new business this evening, the first one is an authorization for a DCED grant. The reason for this resolution is this grant requires a resolution to apply for it. So is there a motion out there, Mr. Hart?
Motion. Action concerning resolution 2025-06, authorization to apply for DCED grant. Motion to adopt resolution 2025-06, the town of McCandless, Allegheny County, Pennsylvania, declaring the town's intent to request a greenways, trails, and recreation program grant from the Commonwealth Financing Authority in the amount of $250,000 for the construction of sidewalk along Ingomar roads between Grubbs and Coomer roads.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second, as you can see on the screen, indicated by the red line. That is the proposed sidewalk. Again, this is just a resolution to apply for that grant. So we are not guaranteed this, but this is one of those where if we're gracious enough to get it, that will be the project preliminarily. So that has any other further questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up, this is housekeeping items. We see these periodically, I think every year for shredding. So this is that motion. Is somebody willing to make that?
I'll make it.
Mr. Giorgetti,
Motion to adopt resolution 2025-07, a resolution declaring the town's intent to destroy public records in accordance with the schedules and procedures for disposition of records as set forth in the municipal record manual approved on July 16th, 1993, and as amended.
there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Wall. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the Shram subdivision planning module. Mr. Swin, I don't have enough background on this. You want to tell us? on this
Sure,
one?
and Kelly, fill in what I missed on this, but this was a subdivision that had been approved previously at the end of 2024. When it was approved, part of the approval included identifying items that were on Gateway's engineer's letter that were outstanding. One of that was the sewage facilities planning module required by the state. The applicant has done their due diligence. Part of that requirement is that the town passes a resolution regarding this, and that's what's in your packet tonight.
And just for your reference to, with these planning modules, we don't see a lot of them, just because this area goes to Alcoasand, and Alcoasand's under consent order, so they're required for most developments to go through this process. And as part of the process, the applicant's required to present their flow, so their proposed sanitary flow number to MTSA. I believe this went through Lowry's Run Group as well, and then it has to get signed off by Alcoasand. And then it also has to go through the health department as well. Once all that information is signed off at and is received by the town, that's where the town passes a resolution to basically revise the official Act 537 Sewage Facilities Act. And then once this is, or assuming, you know, this does move forward, this gets returned to the applicant, and the applicant will submit formally to the DEP. The DEP will review and provide approval to the applicant, and it's just required. They, just for a refresher, they were splitting one residential lot into two. So the one lot will have an existing home, already has a sewer tap. The resident wanted to construct a home on the second lot in the future. So that's why he's required to have an additional sewer tap to that lot.
Thank you for that explanation.
Very good.
We need a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution 2025-08, resolution for the sewage facilities planning module for the Shram subdivision as approved with conditions on September 23rd, 2024.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Rachel Carson Eco Village, partial bond release number 2. Again, these are standard for development. It's a release of a certain amount of the bond. It's been reviewed by our engineer, and that number set forth is what is recommended. Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Mr. Giorgetti,
Motion to approve partial bond release number 2 of the Rachel Carson Eco Village Performance Bond in the amount of $88,923.73 per the town engineer's review letter dated May 8th, 2025.
there's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hart. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Last item up is a Hilltop lot line revision. This was, if you saw, a change in a lot line between 2 parcels. It's been reviewed by the town engineer and the planning commission. Is somebody willing to make that motion?
I'll make the motion. Motion to approve the Hilltop Lane lot line revision dated March 27th, 2025, as submitted by Sterling James LP and reviewed by the town engineer and planning commission.
There's been a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Hart. Any further discussion? All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. At this time, is there any public non-agenda comments? Please come forward and state your name and address.
Ellen Wright, 9635 Old Kimmer Road, Allison Park, PA 15101. I have a concern that the public planning commission report wasn't given on the agenda when it was deferred till later, because while I made comments, it's designed to hear what's being said and then make a comment afterwards. So I have concern about that part of the process. So. And as an aside, the Facebook, which is used, I believe, in emergencies. If you don't have Facebook, Facebook since November has blocked you out other than like the first couple of entries. So if everybody has Facebook, they might not be aware of that. So I noticed that the town on their Facebook, they were still advertising events, and the police Facebook was giving directions about the concerns with the wind damage and the storm damage. But after 3 or 4 entries, if you don't have Facebook, you can't see it. Even though it says it's public, about November, Facebook stopped allowing you access.
Thank you for those comments. Any other public non-agenda comments? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.